Literally no one asked. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is gonna be my June reading wrap up. This has honestly been, I think, my worst reading. You know, I made a mistake of filming this the day before the 4th of July because everyone's lighting off fireworks. Sorry to report, this is probably like one of my worst reading months I've had this whole year. I really don't know what happened. I truly think I've been in a reading slump since I finished Happy Place. Yeah, I've been in a reading slump since Happy Place, and literally nothing has filled the void since. If more fireworks go off, I'm gonna lose my mind. Only read 4 books this month. I tried to read 5, but I DNF'd a book, which I will get into. But this video is gonna be my June reading wrap up, and then I'm also gonna include a little book haul at the end because it was my birthday a couple days ago, so I got a couple books as presents from my friend. And then I also had a Barnes & Noble gift card, so I just ordered some books as well. So I'm gonna show you a little haul at the end of this. But first, we will get into the first book I read in June. The first book I read in June was the second book in the Magnolia Parks series. I spoke about it before. I loved Magnolia Parks. I thought it was so entertaining. I heard Daisy Hates hasn't been everyone's favorite. Like the second one has been everyone's favorite. This book was just alright. It definitely didn't hit the same as Magnolia Parks. I gave this book a 3 stars. I thought it was just okay. It was decent. I'm excited to read the second Magnolia Parks book and then the sequel to this book. I just think I wasn't as attached to Daisy Hates and Christian as I was to BJ and Magnolia. Yeah, I just wasn't really invested in these characters, I guess. It was interesting to get Daisy Hates' brother's perspective, Julian. He's like a part of like kind of like a gang, right? I don't know. They're rich British people. His brother like steals art for a living. That's what he does. It was about her relationship with Christian, and Christian is in Magnolia's friend group. Christian is basically like, at the beginning of this book, he's in love with Magnolia, which isn't a spoiler because if you read Magnolia Parks, which is the book before this, you already know that. But yeah, it's kind of about him struggling to get over Magnolia and forming a relationship with Daisy Hates. I guess this book was way more like, not like action-packed, but like kind of like violent. It kind of had like a dark side to it because like, the characters are involved in illegal things. So I guess that aspect of the book was interesting, and then having the point of views from Daisy, her brother, and Christian. Yeah, I would say this book was way darker than Magnolia Parks' storyline. I thought it was okay. I still am going to finish the series because I'm invested in Magnolia Park and BJ and I want to know what happens with them. And then I heard a lot of people's favorite from this series is the last book, which is the sequel to this book. So we shall see. The second book I read in June was a reread, and it was Beach Read. So I said in my previous 2 videos that I was gonna reread this book because Happy Place was just so good, and I thought this was my favorite Emily Henry book. I said in my last video I've decided that Happy Place is my favorite Emily Henry book, and this is a close second. It was still just as good the second time around. I just love the chemistry between Gus and January. So I don't remember if I gave this 5 stars when I first read it, but I've decided that my final rating is 4 stars for this book. And I forgot that this book has deeper layers to it. It's not just a romance. January is like struggling with family problems and like grieving her dad and struggles she has with that aspect of her life because Basically, her father was hiding a whole nother life from her and was having an affair. So she's dealing with that, and then as well as forming a relationship with Gus. This isn't second chance, but Gus and January both went to the same college, so they were never like friends or anything, but they interacted a handful of times, and they were kind of rivals in college because they both were studying like English and wanted to become writers. But yes, this is a great read, and Emily Henry just can't do wrong. It just didn't give me a 5-star feeling the second time around, but it was still so good. So I think what would have made this book a 5-star rating for me personally would have been if there was POV from Gus's perspective. And I know Emily Henry just doesn't write in dual point of views, which is like fine, but I feel like if I did have perspective from both of them, I would have given it 5 stars. I don't know, I just like having perspective from the male character and the female character, because then you can really feel like you're in their mind and like get a better understanding of how they think and their feelings. Really, really good book. I've decided after rereading that I need to start rereading books more often, because it's just fun to do, especially if I know if one of the books is like a book I really enjoyed the first time around and haven't read it in a while. I feel like it's good to reread books like that just to help, especially if you're like in a slump or something. I actually feel like I said, I feel like I was in a slump ever since reading Happy Place. I don't really think that got me out of a slump, because I feel like the next book I read put me back into a slump, which not really, it wasn't bad. It's just like the new books I've read this month have been so mid. Been finding it really hard to connect to characters, and I haven't really been invested in the storylines I've been reading, which isn't because of the books. I would say it's more just like I'm just not in a good headspace or something. The third book I read this month is Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. This was one of my most anticipated reads of 2023. This book is about 2 doctors. We have Dr. Brianna Ortiz and then Dr. Jacob Maddox. Basically, you get Brianna's point of view. She works at a hospital. She works in the ER, and a new doctor starts working in her ER, and his name is Jacob. He transferred from a different hospital to this hospital, and everyone kind of gets a bad impression of him because he's kind of standoffish and cold. The first day in the ER, like all the patients that come in that he takes end up dying, which is like kind of dark. But yeah, so his first day isn't the best. He's kind of like standoffish to everyone, so everyone's kind of like the new guy. He's kind of rude. We don't really like him. No one really gives him a chance. And then like the one interaction Brianna has with him is kind of like a little weird. She runs into him in the hallway, and like he like drops his phone. It's just like a weird interaction, and she gets a bad impression of him. You soon find out that he has really bad social anxiety. He doesn't mean to come off rude or anything like that, obviously. He writes her a letter apologizing for the interaction they had and explains that he has anxiety and he didn't mean to come off that way. And she immediately understands she suffers from anxiety as well. And they slowly start writing each other letters and forming a relationship. It was honestly really cute. I thought like the plot was solid, and I really enjoyed how the characters first met and how it was like a workplace romance. I just don't think I was super invested in their relationship, and I felt kind of bored, I guess. I thought it was really cool and important that the author spoke about social anxiety, and I don't know, I just think it's important to bring awareness to stuff like that. I'm sure a lot of people can relate to Jacob and find comfort in his character. Overall, really decent book, but I just wasn't connected to the relationship. Just kind of like fell flat for me. I gave this 3 stars. Also, as you can see, I haven't read many books this month. I felt like I was spaced, like I wasn't reading a lot. It was taking me like a week or so to finish a book, and usually it only takes me 3 to 4 days. For some reason, it was taking me a long time to finish the books I was reading. I feel like that's another reason why it was hard for me to be invested in the relationships, because I was just taking so long to read it, and then I was putting the book down and I kind of like forgot what was happening. That's like my bad. I feel like if I read these at a different time and at a faster pace or in one sitting, I would rate them higher. I do recommend that book. I know the other book in this like little companion series is called Part of Your World, I think. That's like the one I haven't read that I want to. Let me know if you've read that and if you liked it. So now we have the next book I read, My Dark Romeo by Parker S. Huntington and L.J. Shen. This is by two separate authors. And you know, I should have done more research on this because apparently like all the reviews were like, this book was fine until they could tell L.J. Shen like what parts they wrote, and everyone was like, they ruined the story. Basically, I DNF'd this. And also I want to say the book was like falling to shreds when I started reading it. Like pages are just falling out of the spine. Basically, I DNF'd this because there was zero plot. It was literally only smut, and the smut wasn't even good, and I just didn't like the male character. I got about halfway, which I'm like, how did I even read that much of it? Yeah, would not recommend. I think that's like the third book I've DNF'd this year. And then we have the final book I read in June. This is Love Theoretically by Ellie Hazelwood. This was one of my most anticipated reads of 2023. I absolutely love her two other books, Love on the Brain and The Love Hypothesis. And she has like a little niche for STEM and just like workplace romance, scientists and stuff like that. This is about, okay, I noticed when I was reading this, well, on the back, the main character's name is Elsie. It's spelled Elsie on the back. But as I was reading it, I was saying Elise in my head, and I realized that like there's typos in this book. It says Elise and Elsie, so there's definitely typos. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be Elsie. But yeah, there's a handful of times in the book where it's spelled E-L-I-S-E and then E-L-S-I-E. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be Elsie. Don't know why I'm going on about this. Oh my fucking god. Okay, basically she's a theoretical physicist, has a degree in that, but she's currently working as a professor at a college, and she also has a side gig where she gets paid to fake date people. She signs up for this app, and that's how she makes a good chunk of her other money, is by fake dating people, because she just can't make ends meet. She's fake dating this guy, and she's been fake dating him for a couple months. He has a brother. Her family is honestly really welcoming to her and everything, but she feels like his brother's kind of doesn't like her, and she can't really figure out why. She's only had a few interactions with him. So she ends up applying for this research job or something along those lines. Long story short, she applies for this job and she gets asked out to go to dinner with all these science people. Lo and behold, the guy she's fake dating, his brother I mentioned, his name is Jack, the brother, he shows up to the interview at the dinner, and she's really confused. She's like, she thought he was like a gym teacher or something, but she just misunderstood. He's also a physicist, and he is a part of the department she's trying to get hired at. He immediately is like, what the heck why are you interviewing for this? He thought she was just a professor at a college. He's really confused. She's really confused. He thinks she's lying to his brother, and she feels like she can't tell him that she's fake dating his brother because she feels like Greg needs to tell Jack. Greg is the guy she's fake dating. I'm terrible at explaining things. She is fake dating Greg, and Jack is Greg's older brother, the physicist. She goes through this whole process of trying to get this job. There's like multiple interviews and things she needs to attend in order to be considered for the job, and she's only going up against one other person. And yeah, I don't want to really give away if she gets the job or not, but basically she forms a relationship with Jack. She doesn't like Jack because Jack wrote this article. I can't think of the word, but she's a different kind of physicist than he is. Basically, he undermined the reputation of theorists, which is the type of physicist she is. He wrote this article, and she doesn't like him because of that. I wouldn't say this is enemies to lovers, but he's secretly in love with her, of course. I think I did enjoy Love on the Brain and The Love Hypothesis more than this. It did take me a while to read it, which I feel like, again, if I read it in a shorter amount of time and didn't put it down as much, I would have enjoyed it more. There's definitely a lot of science terms in here that I didn't understand, but I still really enjoyed it and ate it up. I just really like the little niche that Allie Hazelwood has, and she does it really well and very entertaining always. I just finished this like a couple hours ago. I can't decide what I want to rate it. I'm like deciding between 3.75 and 4. I'm leaning more towards 3.75. Also, if you've seen her other books, The Love Hypothesis and Love in the Brain, there's a man on both of them with brown hair, and who doesn't love men with brown hair? And this is her only book with a blonde-haired man, and you know, I'm not loving that. It was sweet because once their relationship progresses, he gives her that comfort which allows her to truly be her true self and not kind of she tends to put on a mask for certain people to kind of like people please. So those are all the books I read in June. I know it wasn't a lot, and most of those books were just decent. I do recommend them, and I do think they're good. I just didn't feel super connected to the characters. Let me know if you've read any of those and what you thought about them. Now I'm gonna show you a little haul. Like I said, it was just my birthday, so I received a few books from people, and then I ordered 2 other books, which I don't have yet because they're being mailed to me from Barnes & Noble, so I'll just insert a picture of those. But these are the 4 books I was given for my birthday. The first book my boyfriend, my perfect, amazing, beautiful, sweet boyfriend got me is Luna and the Lie by Mariana Zapata. I've spoken about Mariana Zapata a billion times on my channel. She is top 3 favorite romance authors for me. I've read a handful of her books, but there's still a handful I haven't read that I want to read, and this is one of them. Could not tell you what this is about. Literally don't know. The back doesn't give away much, but I'm pretty sure it's slower and grumpy sunshine like the rest of her books, which are always so good. So I'm very excited to read this. Then the other book he got me is Magnolia Park's Long Way Home, which I'm so excited to read. I think I'm gonna read this next, so I just can't wait any longer. This is the 3rd book in this series. I'll finally get to have more closure on BJ and Magnolia's story and relationship. So yes, I'm very excited to read this, and beautiful cover, of course. And then the final book he got me is The Bodyguard by Catherine Center. I got this recommendation from one of Sarah Caroli's videos. She said this book was good, and I think she said it was like Grumpy Sunshine, something like that. So it's called The Bodyguard. I think the female is actually the bodyguard in this story, not the male, which is kind of different. So she's an executive protection agent, which is aka a bodyguard, and she just got hired to protect a superstar actor. So it says that his mom gets sick, so he takes a break from acting and he goes home to his family's Texas ranch to help out. The only one catch, he doesn't want his family to know about his stalker or the bodyguard thing. So basically he pretends Hannah, his bodyguard, is his girlfriend. So fake dating trope. Okay, this sounds like it's gonna be right up my alley, so I'm very excited to read it. And then the last book I got as a gift is called Graceland. My best friend got this for me. This is by Nancy Roshire. You know, I suck at pronouncing things. A fiction book, and this sounds like it's gonna be right up my alley. I'm a big Elvis fan because my dad is, and I just grew up listening to Elvis a lot. It says Hope Robinson can't seem to please anyone lately, especially not her mother, the flamboyant soap opera star Olivia Grant. Olivia loves Elvis more than Jesus and is convinced she's dying, and insists on a final visit to Graceland. Unfortunately, that's the one place Hope can't take her. Hope fled Memphis years ago with a shameful secret and a vow never to return. Olivia, though, doesn't understand the word no. Instead, she wrangles Hope's pink-haired daughter, Dylan, to drive her to Memphis by promising to reveal the mystery of her long-lost father. Hope must stop them before they expose the truth and all hell breaks loose. As the women race from Boston to Memphis, encountering jealous soap actors, free-range ferrets, and a trio of Elvis impersonating frat boys, everyone's secrets begin to unravel. In order to become the family they long to be, Hope, Olivia, and Dylan must face hard truths about themselves and one another on the bumpy road to acceptance, forgiveness, and ultimately grace. So, sounds really fun and entertaining. I'm excited to read this. I ordered 2 books for myself on Barnes & Noble's website because I had a gift card. The first book I ordered, I'm going to put a picture up here, is Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. Literally everyone and their mom has been talking about this book on TikTok. I think it's YA fantasy. Last month I read The Things We Leave Unfinished by Rebecca Yarros, and I gave that like 4.5 stars. 4 stars or something like that. I loved it. I really enjoyed her writing, but this is a completely different genre because that book was romance and this is YA fantasy, I believe. And I don't really know what it's about. I heard there's dragons involved. I heard people said it reminded them of Divergent. There's a subplot of romance. I loved Divergent series and I enjoyed the other book I read by Rebecca Yarros. So I'm excited to read this, and I'm kind of annoyed that it's only available as a hardcover, but I just can't wait till the paperback comes out, so I decided to order it. Let me know if you read that and what you think of it. The second book I ordered is Heartless by Elsie Silver. It's the second book in the Chestnut Spring series, and I believe it follows the guy in the first book. I can't think of his name. I think it follows his brother. Anyways, I thought that book was pretty good and I enjoyed the writing. So yeah, I'm gonna finish that series, but I just decided to order the second one. I haven't ordered the others, but I need to do that soon because I heard she's being signed to a publisher. So all her independent covers are gonna be gone and not available anymore. At least I think I heard. I really enjoy those covers and I want my collection to be cohesive. That's the other book I ordered. I'm excited to read that and hopefully buy the rest of the series eventually. If you've read that series, let me know what your favorite book was. I'm just curious. So I think that is gonna be it. Those are all the books I read in June and then my little book haul. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like I said, this wasn't my best reading month, but hopefully July will be better and hopefully Magnolia Park's Long Way Home gets me out of my reading slump. I'm hoping. I hope to film a different video before I post my July reading wrap up, but I'm finding it hard to come up with ideas. So if you have any ideas of what I should film or anything else you want to see from me, let me know in the comments because I want to make content that you guys will enjoy. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all of you and I hope you have a good day or night or whenever you're watching this. And I will see you in my next video.